Hi there to all our family, all our friends, our Facebook friends, our blog friends, and our YouTube channel friends. This is Bram speaking, Bram Smit speaking. I just want to clarify a few things. There was a post on Facebook briefly yesterday that myself and my family had been in a car accident, and I just want to clarify and reveal all the facts so that everybody was on the same page and that we could all talk the same facts. Yes, it is true. Yesterday morning at about 10:48, 10:49 in the morning, um, on the N17 between Trichard and Springs, we were on a dual carriageway. It was two lanes on our side, and then there was the white line, and there was one lane on the other side. A car approached from that side, and we were in the slow lane on this side, so there seemed to be ample space between the oncoming traffic and ourselves. We were cruising at a leisurely speed on the highway, and the car lost control. What seemed like a burst tire, right-hand front tire that burst, and the moment the tire burst, the car swerved violently to the right into our lane, and almost near collided head-on with us. It was just behind the front wheel of my car, the right front wheel, and the door where I was sitting, that the car hit us. And it was an amazing impact. And we left the road. The other car left the road. We spun violently. We rolled. It seemed like the car flipped. I'm not even sure. All the airbags deployed. It was my BMW 330 that we were in. And when the whole commotion came to a standstill, what seemed like an eternity, obviously it only took a few seconds. When it came to a standstill, my wife Belinda looked around to the back seat where the two kids were sitting, and she realized that Megan was not in the car. Our youngest, our 6-year-old, was not in the car. All the windows had shattered and broken from all the violent rolling and spinning. And she jumped out the car on the left-hand side where she was sitting. She jumped out the car immediately and started running and started shouting Megan's name, started looking for Megan. She was hysterical. I'd never seen so much love in action from a mother, and she'd never been hysterical in all her life. She usually keeps a very calm composure, but she was hysterical. She was looking for Megan. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, in the same time in the car, while I was sitting behind the steering wheel, I just collected myself, and an amazing peace came over me. A similar piece, as some of you may recollect, that in 2008 I broke my neck in a motorcycle accident, and I was in hospital. I was diagnosed as a paraplegic before a wonderful miracle took place. For those who don't know that story, as one day I will tell that story again. But as I was peaceful that day when I would lay in the hospital knowing that I'd be fine, so yesterday that same peace came over me, the peace that surpasses all understanding came over me, and it's like a voice told me, Megan is fine, don't worry. So I climbed out over the console, out the left-hand side where Belinda had exited earlier. I climbed out the car. I could hear that Angela was fine. She was moaning and groaning, but she was moving, and she was actually talking to me, so I knew she was fine. I climbed out the car, and I wanted to get to higher ground in order for me to hear better. I just knew that Megan would somehow communicate to me. And as I moved about 3-4 paces away from the car, I realized Angela was still in the back seat. I turned around, I walked back, I opened the back door, the left back door, and she climbed out, and I consoled her and I calmed her down, and we closed the door, and then she stood against the car while I was moving to higher ground, which was the road. And she was just crying, my little sister is dead, my little sister is dead. I calmed her down. I said to her, Angela, that's not the case, don't worry, she's fine. And as I stood there on higher ground, it was the first moment of quiet we had since the accident started. I just listened, and I heard the faintest groans from my 6-year-old daughter, Megan. And I determined where the groans were coming from, and I moved straight there into the veld, about 10 or 15 meters further than what our car had come to a standstill, our wreckage was. So when I came to her, she was flung into the grass. She was lying on the right-hand side. Immediately I looked for vital signs, and I just looked for whether I could see any obvious signs of damage or injury. And she was lying there still. I could see no signs of life. So I knelt by her, and I'll never forget it. I took my left hand on her right arm like this, and as I put my hand on her arm, it's like she awoke, and she could just turn her head a little like that, and she saw her daddy. She saw me, and that's when she started crying, and she started communicating with me. Very softly, she started talking to me. I could see she was in pain. I could see she was in shock. That's when I stood up and I just shouted to Belinda, and I said to her, Belinda, Megan is fine. I found her. Belinda came over and she saw, and she checked that Megan was fine. But because she was in the state that she was, she didn't want to stay there. So she turned around, and as she walked away, I said to her, just call the emergency medical services. At that time, helpers arrived, and what seemed like in no time, the police was on the scene, and the medical people were on the scene, and the towing people were on the scene, and there were quite a few other people that was just driving past that came to our assistance, to our aid. One guy by the name of Walter, who was the eyewitness to the accident, he asked me, Bram, could we pray for you and for your little girl? I said to him, anytime, that's very welcome. So he prayed for us. And I was just peaceful. I just knew she'd be fine. Obviously, we took every precaution. She was immobilized, stretchered, put into the ambulance, and the other 3 of us in the same ambulance, we were all taken to the Trichardt Mediclinic private hospital they've got there. Long story short, there's a lot of other detail, but to make a long story short, last night we all slept in, Belinda and myself and the 2 kids, we all slept in our king-size bed, all next to each other, and we are all safe. We all woke up this morning, lots of aches and pains. We were bruised and battered, but we weren't beaten or broken. We probably had every reason to be shaken up and to be bitter, but we chose joy instead. So the family is in very good standing, and we are closer now than what we ever were. And we all realized that we escaped a horrible accident that could have had horrible consequences. And I can just say that that peace that surpasses all understanding was with me. I can just say that there's so many miracles that took place that I won't even mention. But we could see that the hand of God was on us and had protected us and had helped us and had brought us to higher ground and to a place of safety. And I can just say to everybody that we are fine. We'll be fine. It's going to take a few days for all our aches and pains and our hurts and that to subside. But I can only say, in the words of Joshua in the Old Testament and the Bible, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord to the end of days. We will trust Him in good times. We will trust Him in bad times. We will trust Him in trying times. We will trust Him in testing times. So that's what I have to say. We are fine. Everybody's fine. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to at least clarify more or less what happened. Thank you so much.
Just a slideshow to show some of the damage to the car, impact from the right-hand side, as can be seen there. Massive impact just at the front wheel, really. So it was very, very close to a head-on collision. This is the inside of the car, just one of the photos of the inside of the car. the back seat. Look at the front wheel there, the whole suspension ripped out. The car took massive impact all around. So yeah, on the left-hand side at least, the doors were of such a nature on the left-hand side, both left-hand doors could open. There's another picture of the impact zone. Part of that's the front seat where I was sitting. That's how hard the car hit us. And of course, these are hospital pictures after all the dust had settled and we were in hospital and we were all safe. We were shaken up, but we were all safe. And there's a pic of Angela bravely smiling, Megan bravely smiling. Small laceration on the bottom of her. That's a picture of Megan's laceration on under the chin. There's Megan lying in the bed, just calming down after she was settled. There's one or two of the pictures of me with some of the bruises I had. And yeah, so that's the whole story. And yeah, the last picture is the one of the family soundly sleeping in our own bed the same evening of the accident. We are just so grateful it's all over.